when you elevate your customers, when you elevate the other people around you, they want to elevate you in return, but two, people see you as a hero.
We need to know who we are talking to. We need to know the type of audience that is in front of us. I think we repeated that a number of times here, because for our story to be relevant, to be relatable, to resonate.
So the why is where your story needs to be anchored on. Even when you reach out to your clients and telling them to tell the stories according to the interaction and experiences they have had with you, they should be able to tell that testimonial and share that story from the why perspective, not the what and the how.
I've heard some people who say, "Oh, I don't have story to share. I don't know what to do in that. I haven't lived enough." Even though that is not really true, because for how long have you been alive? You'll be living for of course, there is nobody here that is 5 years. You'll be living for like 20, 30, sometimes 40 years. Because me, I'm over 40. So you can't say you don't have a story. Every one of us have a story to share. And I literally believe that to be the truth. Because if you look at the story of, if you take up the Bible, for example, you look at the story of Jesus, how long do you think he lived that we have his story everywhere? You see, if you take a child that is born, even one day, if you were to write about that child, if you really were to write about that child, you cannot even take the book up. Because from the face of the child to how the child came out, the first experiences, the biology surrounding him, there is a lot about the individual that you simply, we really just need to take away some part, because you have a lot of story around you, where you are coming from, your parents, your childhood, the people that you have met along the way. But anyway, let me still give it to you. For those of us who believe that they don't have a story, that is good. And that is why we are here today. We are talking of leveraging other people's story. Because that is also another important thing that you could do. In fact, in storytelling, and sometime in this conversation, in this 5-part book series, I was tickling with the idea that storytelling is also about our survival. And in this sense, I was giving an example of food that we eat, for example, that how we come to know of the food we eat is through the story that have been passed down from generation and generation. By generation, I'm not talking of hundreds of years, I'm talking of thousands of years. Our ancestors have literally have to test food to eat it. If they don't die, that is food. If they die, that is poison. So even the type of food that they eat, they come to understand that this particular food, you need to cook it before you can eat it. The other type, you cannot just eat it because it is so acidic. How they come to know of this is that somebody have had to really test it. Sometimes you can't live enough to be able to do all these experiments. Because now if I tell you that I'm in Italy, you need to believe me, because you don't have any choice. Other than that, you will need to travel from wherever you are. Maybe you are in US or in Germany. You need to take a flight to come to my city, come to my office. Then you will say, okay, I'm really here. You cannot do that experiment. So you just need to believe when people say this is who they are, you take it on the basis of that. You don't have story? No problem. What about the stories of other people? You can really leverage that in your business. But how that can really be very valuable is that when you pick up a story, you elaborate on it. You put yourself in the story. Yesterday, there were 2 men just walking along the street going to the White House. Who knows what they were going to do? Now, this is how people usually come to Allen Avenue, for example. They walk, they do this, they do that. By me putting myself in it, I'm already letting the people know that I am important in that story. And now I use what some other persons have told me of the 2 people that are walking towards the White House. Myself, I'm sort of leveraging that story to sort of connect, depending on what I want to communicate to the people. So you can take up any person's story actually and use it depending on what you want to communicate. Because it is not just the story itself, it is the message behind the story. What do you want to communicate in the story? And of course, there are very many ways to leverage other people's story. And there are people who have tested it, there are people who have studied it, there are people who have different experiences in it. That is why we are talking about it today. And you have a lot to benefit from it. Looking at the conversation that we have today, I have some people who are also joining me. They have their experiences and they have their take on the conversation. That is also very important. So let me start with Abimbola. Abimbola, please tell the people who you are and what is your take on the topic of today? How to leverage other people's story in your business.
My name is Abimbola Olani. I'm a content marketer and brand storyteller. I help startups and small business owners craft compelling narratives that will connect and resonate with their target audience, build trust, develop and amplify a consistent brand voice, and convey their messages to drive engagement, expand their business so as to generate massive revenue. Um, Thank you so much, Obehi, for the opportunity. Um, when you talk about stories, many of us have come to realize the effectiveness, the power the storytelling has on businesses, especially in this time and age. We have come to see how storytelling has helped to build businesses, build trust, get market products and services, and yes, increase sales for businesses. So we have also been told we've known that we are to share our stories, but apart from our personal stories, apart from our brand stories, we can also share the stories of other people. And how do you do that? We have You have customers. You can share the story of your customers, of your clients that have worked with you, that have bought a particular product or you've rendered a particular service to, and how that product or that service has taken them from point A to point B, has made their lives better, has given solution to their problem. So by sharing their stories, you are also kind of like making people to know that you are the go-to person for that particular product, because people will be able to see themselves in that particular person's story. Let's say a business owner that is finding it so difficult to make sales, and gets across, comes in contact with you, and you are able to prefer like a content strategy or whatever for that particular person, and by using it, he or she now has us- got an increase in sales, or perhaps was able to increase the customer base by sharing the story of such a person, that okay, by using my content strategy, he or she has been able to scale up, has been able to increase sales from this point to this point by this percentage. So people will be able to, these people that are finding it so difficult to make sales will kind of like, oh, I think this is a go-to person for me. Another way is when people, your customers share testimonies, when they give reviews that okay, I worked with so and so, I bought this particular course, and I was able to have my following increase maybe from 500 to 2,000 within a week. So people that are looking for how to increase their followership will see that person as a go-to person. So by telling people stories, by telling other people's stories, or having them tell the story of how they've benefited from what you do, you are able to build yourself, you are able to build trust with your audience. You're able to build trust and credibility. People see you as an authority, and they see you as the solution to their problem. So that is one of the ways that those are ways that you can, and even if you have employees, yes, and they've been working with you they can share stories about, telling people they're trying to market their brand to others. They'll say, okay, since I've been working with this person, he has helped, this brand has helped this and this. You are telling other people's story to show that that brand is an authority, is a go-to brand, and has the solution to their problem, that particular problem that they are facing. So with that said, I think I've been able to explain a bit. Thank you so much, Obehi. I yield the mic over. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that, Abimbola. That is highly valuable because, of course, there are different ways that we can use other people's story in our story or in our business story if we want to connect to people. So that is one of the ways that Abimbola have just shared with us. And of course, we are going to be touching some other area. Yes, we are still going to remain within the ladies before we come to the gentleman in the room. So yeah, Hannah Idachaba, you have a good experience in here. So tell the people who you are and what is your take on the conversation of today.
Thank you so much, Obehi. It's such a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure, if I'm being honest. I want to say a big welcome to everyone that has joined us today. As always, we wouldn't have this room without you listening. We want to say thank you so much for being here. First of all, okay, so my name is Hannah Dachaba, as you already introduced. I'm a brand strategist and brand storyteller. And I particularly work with women to help them create standout brands here on LinkedIn, particularly. So I'm going to be sharing my own part of today's topic from my personal experience with clients, women, in business. One thing that I would say for a fact is, in sharing people's stories, it can be very dicey if you're not careful. The thing is, a lot of the times we can share our stories. We wouldn't bat an eyelid, right? You just wake up and you already know how the story goes. I woke up today, I did this, I did that, and boom, this is what happened. However, it's a different ball game when it's somebody else's story. And as somebody who writes other people's stories on a daily basis, I understand how complicated it is. But one thing that I will first of all share is it's really important to be a sponge. And this is what really has helped me in being able to share other people's stories in ways that I exclude myself from it and get into their shoes and, empathize with them and share their stories the way that they would want. So be a sponge, right? Soaking all the emotions that they've gone through in the moment, at the moment of their journey or whatever that the story is. I usually have an initial meeting with clients where I say to them, tell me about your business, for instance, tell me about your life. And whilst you're sharing, I am like a sponge. So in that moment, I see what they're going through. Because most of the time, you can tell from the change of voice, what this really means to someone. You can tell several times people have cried, just by sharing their stories with me. You can tell how much the stories mean to them when you give them the chance to speak. So it's really important to be a sponge. It's really important to put yourself in the storyteller's shoes and empathize with them. Go through the emotions. That way, you're able to tell that story or retell that story in ways that connect. Another thing that I'm going to be sharing is avoid embellishing. I think that in an art to sound a certain way, most times there's a tendency to embellish stories. It's really important to keep the stories authentic, keep the stories true, and stay in line with the storyteller's journey, stay in line with how the storyteller has felt going through whatever they've gone through. Stick to the truth as much as possible. Because one thing with lies is it gets hard to continue. So it's so important to anyone listening today, be truthful. Another thing that I will be saying is focus on clarity. There is a tendency to want to put everything that the person has gone through into one post or one video or one copy. It's really important that in doing that, you're able to pick the important parts of the person's story. Because one thing that comes with sharing our stories is if it's not clear, it's so important to be clear. it's so important to maintain the structure of storytelling. I mean, we've shared this a lot in this room. We've spoken about how important it is to have a structure when you're sharing your story. I'm going to go back to it for anyone who's just listening. So share the introduction, share the body, share the conclusion. We've shared several times about the hero's journey, what were the ups, the downs, how did the hero come on top, and all of that is so important to have that when you're sharing your story. So clarity is key. If it's not clear, you tend to lose people along the way. So it's really important to maintain clarity. Another thing that I'll be saying is storytelling is a skill. And we've also said this over and over again in our event. It's a skill, meaning that people have actually gone years learning about this. People meaning I, Obehi, Annie, Abembola, we work with stories on a daily basis, right? So it's a skill. We do not expect somebody who doesn't know what it means to write a story that is clear, that is truthful, that is authentic, and be able to share stories effectively in a way that connects. Because you also need to remember, it's really important to connect. So all these things can be quite a lot for somebody who's just starting out. So it's so important to give, to share your stories to people who you trust and know are able to effectively tell your story. And that's why you have us here. Pop us a message after this event and be sure to help you out. But it's really important, number one, to be a sponge. I'm going to go back to the points that we shared, just in case you're just joining. Be a sponge. Soak up the emotions of the person's story. Go through the emotions, feel it with them, be empathetic, because it's so important not to lose touch of those emotions. That's what you need when you want to connect with people. It's also really important to make use of storytelling structures, the introduction, the body, the conclusion. As Obehi would say, the hero's journey, what the hero started with, how the hero was able to triumph in the end. And then do not embellish your story. Remain as truthful as possible. Focus on clarity and speak to a professional to help you out in your storytelling journey. I will now be yielding the mic back to you, Obehi. But I'll be here listening to everyone share, and I'm so, so eager to hear what everyone has to say.
Thank you so much for that, Hannah. Thank you so much. That is highly valuable. In fact, I noted down a couple of things, but anyway, time will not permit me to go around and start commenting on some of the highly valuable points that I actually picked down. So I will keep that for myself for a later conversation, maybe on another date. So I really like what you were saying there. Is really, really highly valuable. We need to know who we are talking to. We need to know the type of audience that is in front of us. I think we repeated that a number of times here, because for our story to be relevant, to be relatable, to resonate, it must resonate to the people that we are talking to. We must know who they are, what are their senses and sensibility, what makes sense to them, what are their challenges, what are they going through. Anyway, if you are in business, all this should already be clear to you, in that you cannot create a product just because you like the product. You need to create a product because the people need it. And for you to know that the people need it, you first of all need to know the people. Who are they? What are their challenges? So we come back again to the same full cycle. So it is important that this is very clear for us in the beginning. Otherwise, our stories will not land. Even when we are talking about using other people's story, this is equally valuable, highly, highly valuable. So it's the same thing all the time. All right, so I give the mic to Annie Osong. It's your turn, my friend.
So I love this topic. For those who don't know me, I am Annie Osong. I say it's my job to make people famous. I want to make you famous everywhere. I want to make you famous on TV, on radio, in magazines. If I can make you famous in the media, then I want to make you famous online to your target audience. I want to put you in front of where they're looking for you. That's normally on email, on ads, in the audio rooms like these. If you haven't been to an audio room before, so gone are the days of doing one-to-one connecting on LinkedIn to make friends and get customers. Now you're here, you're looking at one-to, let's say if you come and speak, or for us hosts, it's 1 to nearly 60 people. That's why I love audio rooms. We'll help you fill them, we'll help you organize them, we'll help you host them, we'll help you make them work for you. So my other passion is people who write books. Obehi is an author. I mentioned Francine, one of my author friends. So literally, when you write a book, you're an expert. We can sell you anything you do if you're an expert. We can sell you, sell your services, sell your books. So I've got a team that will help you write your book if you want to become an author. So if you want to write your book, we'll help you write your book, package your book, publish your book, and then sell your book. Last I'll say is that I want to make you a bestseller on Amazon. Something that only 0.08% of people ever earn. So when you have that gold badge of being the best-selling author, people want to talk to you. Rather than you pay to go on telly, they pay you to come and talk to them because you're the expert. If you got a book coming out soon, let's talk. I want to make you really famous. See, I love this topic that we're talking about today. I think, Obehi, at the heart of storytelling is your topic today. A lot of people think stories is about me, me, me. The most engaging stories are about other people, ideally your customers. There's other people apart from your customers. Abimbola explained it beautifully. If you want to convince people that your brand is worth talking to, your brand does what it says it does, get social proof. Get your customers to talk about your brand instead of you talking about your brand. That's what's going to get people to see that suddenly, oh, that's someone like me. And they must do what they say because that person says they do. They help them out. They solve their problem. That's where real trust is built. As again, I remember also mentioned getting your customers to do reviews for you. Again, that's the way forward. I don't tend to let my customers do written reviews, even though I know many platforms like Google want you to have written reviews. I think written reviews are easily corrupted, and I don't even know anyone who trusts written reviews. Most of my reviews, nearly all of them, are on video. I think when you have people talking in real time in front of you, you can see who they are. You can see, like I said, they're like you. And you can really see that they've been authentic, they've been genuine, as Hannah mentioned. There's so much that you can do to use other people's stories. I guess what can I add to the conversation? Let me add into a few points. So I think we have to be clever how we tell our clients' stories. We can tell the stories using data, for example. Literally, if you win an award, that's proof that you're helping other people, right? That's validation for the work you do. That's more social proof. If you have data in your companies that shows, how many people you work with, what results you get for them, that's using other people's stories. That's using your clients' information to prove the work you do. I say so. One type of story that we always forget, I think, is to learn from our competition. The competitors have their stories. Alas, you exist because there's a gap. There's something that they don't do very well. So you can easily leverage their story or their stories and then add the bits that you bring to the table. That's a good way to leverage other people's stories. At the heart of storytelling, whether it's your story or leveraging other people's stories, is to make your clients the hero. We'll talk about this every day. As Hannah mentioned, we talk about the hero's journey every single time we run these rooms, because I guess people need to learn how to tell stories properly. Good storytelling doesn't have your business, as the hero. No one wants you to be a hero. No one wants to see you the hero. They want to see, you helping other people succeed. They want to hear how you've helped others overcome their challenges. That's what tells me that you can help me solve my problems. That doesn't mean you're the hero. If think of the films you watch, think of the programs you watch on TV. There's always a hero, the star character, and they have a challenge, and then there's always a guide, someone who guides them to the solution. that guide is never, it's not the hero. That guide is just a person who, without whom they wouldn't have found a solution. So at the end of every good play, every good film, the hero wins, the hero succeeds. The guide is still there in the background. Sometimes the guide may even die. Your business, my business, we're conduits. We're the guides for our customers. We're the guide for them to achieve their goals. For those of us who do B2B, our customers want to help more of their customers. So our job is to help them be heroes. When you can position yourself as the guide, and then you can tell the story of how your hero, your customers, really won the day, and how the life changed, how they transformed as a result of your input to become the superhero that they are now. That's when storytelling really, really works. We can all learn to tell better stories. So, Obehi's books, it's a great tool. They're there to help us learn. So many people would talk about storytelling these days. Sadly, not many actually learning how to actually apply what they're hearing. I think Obehi and I are working on a workshop because we really want people to learn how to tell stories. Not just learn how to tell, they have to tell stories that have impact. They get people wanting to buy from you. Now, at the end of the day, storytelling is about you doing more business. It's not just about you telling tales and entertaining people. I mean, that's storytelling for friends. In business, you must have a strategic goal to engage people, get them to take your call to action. That way, you help more people pay you for helping them. Yeah, you generate more revenue, more profits. Your business grows. It's a joyful experience, my friends. Obehi, I could talk about this all day, my friend, but let me keep quiet.
Thank you so much for that, Danny. Thank you. Talking about customers, that talks about the service of that they receive from other people. I want to thank Annie because I have this audio room today. This is thanks to Annie. In fact, I have 3 audio rooms, and all of them have been really, really very powerful in my campaign out there, in the message that I'm preaching to the people. I have a gospel, you see. My gospel is storytelling. My gospel is we should leverage the power of storytelling, and I've explained it in very many ways. I have a lot of courses that I've created around storytelling, and I have company reaching out to me to help train also their people for storytelling. Currently, I'm working with a college in Jos where I'm going to be teaching a group of students about storytelling, how to use storytelling on conflict reporting. All this is thanks to the outlet. Outlet, in this sense, one of them is LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn for a very long time, actually, but I've never leveraged the audio room until I interview Annie. I actually interviewed him 2 times. Annie is a brilliant guy, of course, not because he's here. Of course, I will say what I will say. He's a great guy. All right. So I interviewed him 1 time and I interviewed him again. So that is a confirmation that he's a good guy. Because otherwise, I wouldn't interview him twice. Am I crazy? So we entered into a conversation. He told me that I need to leverage audio room. I said audio room. I've been to audio rooms in Clubhouse, but yes, I've participated a number of times. But on LinkedIn, I've never really tried it. He said, try it. You're going to like it. And today, I have 3 rooms on LinkedIn talking about the same thing: storytelling. Storytelling for business, storytelling for African diaspora, storytelling. This particular storytelling is about storytelling tips, where we look at different tips and strategy to use storytelling. All these are thanks to the suggestion from Annie. So Annie is not going to be selling himself. I'm going to be selling him because I like what he did for me. So this is actually exemplify the idea of customer story that you can use in your business. Now, having said that, I want to say another thing. I create content. I create content for businesses. So one time I built a website for a business, and I wanted to I wanted to make it more appealing. So then I asked this client, um, don't you have people that are saying something about you? She said, yes. And they actually told her that a lot of people have not only spoken about her, but they have even sent her a lot of messages, positive one, of the impact that they have had dealing with her. I said, wow, this is what I've been looking for. Send me all of them, all of them. So what we did was that we created a separate page on the website that we tagged testimonial or customer testimonial. And guess what? That'll be very, very good for her business. Again, it comes back to the same thing. Instead of you coming out all the time and start telling people, hey, I am a good person, I do this, I do that, I do that. Hey, why don't you let other people do that for you like I just did for earning? I'm not doing that because Eddie is paying me money. I'm doing that because I got good recommendation from him. He's a good man. So if you are looking for a recommendation next time, if you are looking for somebody to tell you how to position yourself on LinkedIn, how to leverage the power of LinkedIn, of course, the name Eddie will come to your mind because I just said so. That is a testimonial. And testimonial is one of the ways to leverage other people's story in your business. All right.
Obehi, can I say something very quickly?
All
Sorry
right, go.
to interrupt you. I really, I'm really, but I think it's worth knowing. You see, the value of what Obehi just did is more than two-way. It's not just, giving me a testimonial. It's also showing you that he's a good guy too. He doesn't want to do business with a good guy. No, really. I'm saying when you elevate your customers, when you elevate the other people around you, they want to elevate you in return, but two, people see you as a hero. Literally, you've won the game by focusing on someone else, and people will reward you for your generosity, for your grace, for your kindness. That's how you build trust. Everybody could easily have just gone on with me, 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 and you just said, yeah, okay, whatever. But by him showing grace, by him focusing on other people, you suddenly now you like him more. I bet all of you do. Now you're interested in what he has to tell you and what he has to do, what he actually does for now to help people. That's the power of telling someone else's story. And I just want to make that point over here.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And if we were to really look at somebody really lifting out others, which is sometimes we do forget, take a look at maybe, for example, The Lion's King. For those of you that have watched the film, I have a son in the house, so I've watched it a number of times. You see, when they literally lift up the young cub, the young lion in the air, what happened to the hands of the person who is lifting it up? What happens to his eyes? What happens to his face? Everything is lifted up. What if you were to lift somebody down? If you were to bring somebody down, your face will also be down. Which means what you are doing to other, you're actually doing it to yourself sometimes. Some other people say that if you are in business and you want to make money, don't just be shouting money, 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 money. Money will run away from you. Because money is not just the currency. Money is value. The currency is a medium of exchanging value. So what you should concentrate on is not money, it's value instead. If you are adding value to people, the more people that need value will come to you. And of course, it is natural. They will use the currencies to exchange the value. So instead of, because you are adding more value, more money will come to you. That becomes natural because money always comes later. First of all is value. All right. Thank you so much, everyone here. I think the first person that joined us in the room, because we have 4 people, is Aaron Party. Please share with us. We are willing to learn from you. All right. Maybe you are having some audio problem there, technical problem. Like I said before, no one is immune from that. Everyone have a share of that. So when your mic is back, you can speak to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Obehi, for giving me chance here. My name is Arun, and I am from India. So good evening, Good morning, everyone. Yeah. Actually, I just want to tell how your stories can, impact others' life, right? So, whatever the stories you have, because stories actually need anyone does not need any concept. Concept is a boring things. What I understood. So if you want to deliver someone concepts, they will get bored out of that. So story of other people, story of sharing story in your business, connecting people with stories are very important. So you can only connect people by stories. If you want to tell stories of someone, and if you want to tell stories of yourself and your friend one, if you want to want to communicate any of your friend, any of your colleague for more than an hour, then story is the best way. You ask the stories, you listen him, and ask the stories, and leverage him by telling and asking so many stories of his life, so that he or she could listen you and understand you, and you can also understand him or her in a better way, and he or she can contribute much to your business, your life, anything by that story. And everything is basically story is a very good topic here. You are asking about stories, and the concept how to leverage other people's stories in your business. So it is a very good concept. So when your friend, your colleague circle, uh, you know their stories can impact your business at a large, that is a very good uh, you know you can step into your life, and also he or she could benefited and leveraged out of that uh, by telling stories and connecting you and your business by that story. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Aaron. I appreciate your contribution. That is true. Story is powerful, and of course, when we are talking of story, it's not that we are really try to sort of occupy our empty spaces. I say this quite often that there is a science behind storytelling. There is a reason why it works. There are precise way to make it work. That is why I think, like anyone was saying before, that storytelling for business is different from the storytelling that you would tell your friends. They are not the same thing. So storytelling works. It works all the time. It works in many ways. It works in businesses. It works in politics. It works for those in spirituality, okay, religion. If you are a psychologist, you understand that story work, because if we take storytelling out of your work as a psychologist, you will have no work. Because how are you going to be able to enter into the mind of you as a psychologist? You literally penetrate the mind of the people. There is no other instrument that we know of that can work more than storytelling, because that is how we function as human beings. That is how we have been functioning for several thousands of years, since the time that our ancestors have been painting on the wall till now. The power of storytelling have never muted. It has remained the same. It is what helped us to build the monument. It will help the Egyptians to build the pyramids, in that they are seeing beyond just the immediate. That is why the pyramid was built the way it was built. There are symbols and signs and symbolism all around it. There is a science, a deep science behind the effectiveness of storytelling. That is why we are telling people, try to understand the functioning of the story, why it works, because there is a reason it doesn't work by random. It precisely works. It works exactly the way it was designed to work. Any institution that is functioning, look at it very well. There is a deep history of storytelling around it. All right, so with that, I want to pass the mic to Philip. Philip Alias, it's your turn. Please share with us. The topic again is how to leverage other people's story in your business.
Hey, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. Hey, I want to thank you this opportunity to get in here and talk about storytelling because everything that you were saying is dead on. It is how we communicate. It's stories that I found no matter where I've gone in the world, it's sharing those stories and experiences and everything. And it kind of got me to thinking about it all starts with you. Everything starts with you. Because if you really, you got to understand your own story too. Before, and what you do is take your experiences and see other stories. Because I've seen thousands of movies and everything shows, and everything has a pattern, or it's like saying, make them the hero of their own story. Because if I can get you to understand that you're the root cause of everything in your life and how you can be inspired by other people's stories that you can in turn bring to your clients or whatever that you're dealing with, showing them that they're not alone and bringing them to a sense of, wow, my story can actually matter because I understand and listen to everybody else. Because everybody in this room has your own story. I mean, surely, wow, there's a lot in this room. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak because with those stories, it changes your understanding, your mindset, because a story will give more than just information. It'll give in the insight of why you do what you do and what for and how it all brings it together because most people don't have the forethought to know that everything you do today is you're writing your own story. You're opening every time you open your eyes in the morning, you get up out of bed, you're writing your pages of your story to understand. And that's why I love everybody in this room because it's connection. And you about making people famous, it's once you understand and hone who you are, take those stories and run. And the more we share, the more we understand that our thoughts, our beliefs, and everything are part of that. And I learned to what grace was by living in other countries and seeing. I've been to Africa, I've been to Middle East and Korea and Central America and everything. We all are fundamentally the same. It's the regions, the way we grew up, either you're poverty or wealthy, it doesn't matter. Knowing your story and getting it down because your story is unique to you and you don't need to embellish because people see right through that. Or you could say, well, he normally caught a 6 foot or a 6 inch fish. And by the time you get done to it, it was a monster 3 foot. And but understanding that and realizing that's part of getting your story out there also. But I use it because what I can do is I use it as examples from my clients of showing them where they started to where they are now. And it takes time for you to understand and process that, huh, I have 100% control over my thoughts, my beliefs, and everything. And why should I get upset over things? And with those stories that I look at it is go, okay, what was the outcome? Well, it wasn't favorable, taking a direct emotional response to things because it feels good in the moment. But in the long run, or the next day, you realize, ooh, I shouldn't have burnt that bridge. But it was the story of how it all came about is what that really matters. And I am thankful every day I get to wake up and hear each and one of your stories because you change. Or no, you know what? It's not changing. It's further developing who I am and what I can bring to the world. Because if I'm confident in who I am and knowing what I want and accepting people for where they're at in their stage of life, it's like throwing adult problems onto kids. Well, let them be a kid because it sucks being an adult sometimes. But having that story of, hey, you fall, you fail. You know what? You get back up because you still need to eat. You still need to have conversations with people and interact and survive. Well, it's so much easier when we do it together and share those stories because you know something I don't. And but if we can mitigate the situation and improve our odds for tomorrow, why not do it? Because I've seen the horrors of humanity.
Thank you for that, brother. That's really interesting. That is why we are here. We are here to share, and sometimes to also learn our shoulder on each other for those who sometimes want to cry. That is also part of it. You see, in storytelling, we say we need to leverage emotion. Emotion are those feelings that we have as human beings, which include sometimes laughing, sometimes be angry, sometimes crying. Why not? If we have to cry, we cry. It's part of the human being. It's part of how we connect. You can't just be perfect all the time. It is not possible. You need to connect. You need to look at who are you talking to. What is their state of emotion just now? Uh, Deep psychologists, when they talk to people, they mimic their way of being. If you are laughing, they are laughing. If you are crying, they are crying. Almost. If you are smiling, they are smiling. I think this is what they call mirroring. Because it helps you understand that the person that is talking to you is at the same level with you. If you don't do that, it's going to be difficult to communicate. It's going to be difficult to resonate. It's going to be difficult for your story to be relatable to the person who is listening to you. And how you do that is because you have a very fine line that you are trained. Because you are emotionally intelligent. You understand how the human being behave. That is why you are telling the story anyway. Because by telling the story, you are altering things. You are altering the normal functioning or the normal routine of things. Perhaps somebody that was laughing, you want to make the person not to laugh anymore. Or maybe the person that was shouting, you want to make sure the person doesn't shout anymore. But you don't just get there and say, hey, stop shouting. You start by telling stories. You know, some of these things we get it by watching film, by reading books, by listening to people. That you don't just go there and just hammer the information. Like, hey, it's 25%. Now, the word population is 8 billion. No, you just start somewhere. Just bring the story up. Just slowly, like crescendo, one layer on top of another. By the time the person you are telling the story realize it, the person is drunk into it because you know what you are doing. You are lacing several layers of emotion into your storytelling. And that is how we connect. That is how we behave as human beings. Storytelling makes us human. Otherwise, we would be like robots, no? Just yes, no, good, bad. But you can't simply just say good, bad, yes, no. You are going to say yes and explain and give the kind of sentiment that many people don't understand that you understand them. That is important, it's fundamental. All right, I think the last person that I haven't spoken, of course, this is the time for you to share with us, is Mr. Vincent, Otumbo Vincent. Please share with us. We are here to listen to you.
Thank you, Obehi. I'm sorry if I butcher your name. I think I'm the last one to speak, and when you speak last, you rarely have anything important to introduce into the conversation. I'm gonna become wiser by using all your contributions and telling my own story. All right, my name is Otumbo Vincent. I am from Kenya, and my mission in life is to transform Africa through leadership and management consultancy. So I've listened to each one of us speaking as I was walking, and I've loved what you've shared, Obehi, Hannah, Annie, Arun, and John, Philip, and Abibola. Hey, your name is always interesting, but I joined this room again. I want to appreciate Abibola because she always comes to my DM and invites me. So today she didn't invite me, but I got a notification that she's joining a live conversation, and I joined because it's important to honor people for the impact they have in life. So when it comes to storytelling, I'm going to go back a little bit. One, it takes time to build a story. And I think that when Hannah was talking about authenticity, you can't be authentic. And remember, every story has a witness. So you can't lie. Every story has a witness. So it takes time to build a story. That is why Malcolm Gladwell, in his book Outliers, he says that it takes about 10,000 hours for you to build your story. So every story has a witness. Number two, people buy your why. They don't buy the how or the what. They buy the why. And this is a concept that Simon Sinek talks about very passionately. So the story you sell, are you selling the product or are you selling the why? So the why is where your story needs to be anchored on. Even when you reach out to your clients and telling them to tell the stories according to the interaction and experiences they have had with you, they should be able to tell that testimonial and share that story from the why perspective, not the what and the how. And most of our African businesses and entrepreneurs, we normally sell the how and the what, and we forget the why. So the why is very, very important. And number three is again insisting going back to authenticity. You know, a lot of people say that fake it until you make it. I would rather faith it until I make it. We all human beings are lie detectors by nature. So you can't fake it. People will always tell when you are not authentic with your storytelling. So if you've just started building your story today, tell it as it is today. Let your clients tell it as it is today, not telling the dream and You are giving people different experiences. Another best way to tell your story is the experience that you give your customers every single moment. Some of us can treat clients very badly. We can treat people badly, and then we go to social media and start telling great stories. But you see what? That referral, that testimonial that has not been shared on video or on document, that referral that people are speaking about you to each other, that is the greatest story that you have. So to each other, when they're making calls to each other, chatting to each other, the story they tell about you is your brand. Because the videos can be doctored. We can pay people to tell stories about us. But what is the reality on the ground? Every single opportunity you get, tell your story by giving the best. Even if you're sweeping, give the best. When you offer your best, you don't ask people to give you testimonies and write them for you. They do it for themselves. Simon Sinek says that when people came to listen to I Have a Dream speech, there was no posters to invite them. There was no LinkedIn event for them to subscribe and get a reminder. Why? Because the people who came to listen to Dr. Martin Luther, they came there for themselves. They didn't come for him. So this is the point. Let us deliver our best and stop doctoring our offerings. When we deliver and give the people we work with the best experience, we don't have to ask for them to tell stories about us and our businesses. They will do that because they will be doing it for themselves and not even for you. So if we change the story, then our businesses changes. So the question is then, how do we go back and do our best and get stories being told about our businesses and ourselves without us asking for them? And that is the best way we can leverage other people's stories in building our businesses. Let them do it for themselves, not even for ourselves. Let them tell stories because we have changed their lives. Our services have changed their lives. Our why, our purpose of running our business is thought provoking to a manner that it makes them wake up and tell our stories without even us asking them to share their story. At the end of the day, it is the people, it is how we are making them become in their journey that matters more than even what we achieve. So let us go out there and do our best with intentionality and playing the long-term game and not just the short-term game. Thank you for the opportunity, and I yield the mic back to you.
Um, Tumbo Vincent, you really are living what you are saying. You want to change Africa. When you said that, you really moved something in me. And when you spoke, you confirmed that. That is really powerful. Thank you for the change that you are making in the world. We need more of that. We need more of that, particularly in Africa and among the African diaspora, because we need it to be able to retrace our step again. And by that I mean we need people that have vision, and we also need people that can motivate other people. When you were speaking, some of the things that were actually moving in my head were like the quote by Maya Angelou, the famous African American writer, that people might forget what you say to them, but they will never forget how you make them feel. That feeling is what actually drag that million march. That feeling is what brought people to listen to Martin Luther King, confirming exactly what you're saying. And I think that is what our businesses should do too. We really need to do this. Anyway, I don't need to be repeating that because you already said it beautifully well. I'm only because I cannot ignore. Is it possible for me not to just mention that because I really love what you said. Thank you so much for that. We need to look for a way to build ambassador of the people that we are serving, in that they move beyond just the offer that we are making, but they become part of the mission, part of what we are doing, part of why we are here. That is fundamentally important. At that point, our business stops from just being a business. It becomes, what do I call it? It becomes a community. It becomes a people's business, because now they drive you. They drive the mission. They help you to reach wherever you want to go. Because until the people are supporting you, you can't really go that far. How far can you go? So it is important to serve the people. It is important that we enter into the market with the intentionality of service. Because if we do that, then we will have the people on our side. And the saying goes that whoever have the people on his or her side is the winner. How to leverage other people's story in your business. And of course, yeah, everything is part of everything. In that, there is nothing that is completely isolated from the rest. When we are talking of storytelling, you see that we are mentioning emotion here. You see that we are mentioning relatability. You see that we are mentioning knowing your audience, because all of it are part of it. No part of the storytelling is just one part. There is no way you are going to tell a story that you say, okay, in this story, I'm going to be talking about character. Emotion is not going to be involved. How are you going to tell that story? Every story you tell need to have a structure in it, need to have emotion in it, need to have character, need to have a mission, need to have you can't just detach some part and say, okay, today I'm talking about, I'm going to tell a story, and the story is I'm only going to use emotion in it. But if you are using emotion without the character, how are the people going to relate to it? So everything is part of everything here. Anyway, something that can also be to be philosophical, but that is the truth. All right, Hannah, I have a question for you. And the question is, for beginners, let's say I'm a beginner in storytelling. Actually, I am still a beginner in it, because I'm still learning. I have a lot of things to learn. Now, I want to understand, what do you recommend? What are the best way for me to leverage other people's story in my business as a beginner? Please help me.
Okay, so thank you so much for the question. The best way that I would say as a beginner is really, first of all, having a sponge mentality, like I said in the beginning. But it's the truth. It's really important. The reason is this: when you are starting out, you want to first of all understand who you are, just like what I can't remember what his name was when he shared. First of all, knowing who you are, knowing what your style is, right? Knowing what appeals first to you. Because in my line of business, if I don't know who I am, if I didn't know what my strengths were, if I didn't know what my weaknesses were, I wouldn't be able to help other people out the best way that I can. So that way, the best first thing to do is really know who you are, and then being open to people and who they are. Right, go online, get a sense of who people are, understand human psychology. It's really important to know what makes people tick. When you speak about emotions, what kind of emotions are there, and how can you leverage those emotions? I remember when you spoke in the beginning about wanting people to be angry when you want them to be angry. Just having the control that you have over people's emotions. How do you do that if you don't understand people? I'm not saying go on a research for 40 days. However, it's really important to first of all understand what makes people tick. It's psychology 101, it's marketing 101. Go out, get a sense of people, understand them, speak to them, open yourself up for the opportunities and the different emotions that people exhibit and people have. Another thing that I would say is practice, because it's really important to keep practicing. You're never perfect. Don't expect that when you start you already would have everything figured out, or you really would have know what to say or what to do. It's so important to keep practicing as you go on. Practice, 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 they say, makes perfect. So once you have an outline, a structure, you've understood people, you know who you are, you know what kind of people that you want to work for, and the kind of stories that you want to work with, is really important to practice as much as possible, because that's the way that you're going to get better eventually. But that would be my share. Let me know if anybody's interested in starting out your storytelling journey. I'm Hannah Dachaba, and I'm happy to help you. Thank you so much, Obehi, for that question.
Everybody, thank you for allowing me to share. But yeah, everybody has, really gave some insightful information. As far as like when I first started off, as far as allowing people to tell my story, similar to what Hannah said, I really had to understand, myself, really understand why am I doing this? Who am I doing it for? And then secondly, really just studying people, understanding my target audience or who should be my target audience, understanding my competitors, how they're doing business. So it was a lot of research. Like, I mean, I've been in my field for 16 years, but when I first started off, I was very novice, very green. Didn't like my vision was not really is nothing close to the vision I have now today, but it was really a lot of trial and error. Just learning how to. I was a communications major in college, so just learning how to communicate with people, just learning how to listen to my clients, just even thinking like, hey, what would my clients like, or if I was the client, like in a sense, like, does this sound right? Does this look good? You know, how should I respond to clients? So yeah, it to me it just takes a lot of practice. Sometimes you're going to get it wrong, but as long as you are working to get better, you're understanding your mistakes, you're tracking what you're doing. I mean, skies is the limit. Like, sky's the limit. You could literally be very successful and get clients to tell your story. But right now, I have clients telling my story through reviews. I mean, just by creating amazing memories, clients are literally giving me reviews, where it's testimonials, video, written. And yeah, you just got to really get out there, do it, understand your clients, really understand your clients' behavior too as well. What's their pain points? How can you assist them? How can you help them? How can you help them reach their goals? And I feel like once you do that and you deliver, trust me, they're going to be telling your story all day and helping you get more clients. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for letting me share.
I appreciate you all. From the depth of my heart, I say thank you. And please come back again in 40 days' time, because then we'll be talking about storytelling again, but picking another topic.